coming. Our attention as Kenya Kwanza Alliance has been called to the press release by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, through its chairman, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, issued in Nairobi yesterday, the 21st of July, 2022. This statement raises a most grave and fundamental concern on sinister efforts by the government of President Uhuru Kenyatta and its Azimio la Umoja Kenya, One Kenya project to subvert the 2022 general elections, now only 18 days away. IEBC has disclosed that the Kenyan state has arbitrarily arrested and detained in an unknown location or locations 3 personnel affiliated to the Commission ahead of next month's elections. IEBC has disclosed further that the 3 are employees of Smartmatic International BV, a firm that has been formally retained to be responsible for deployment and management of election technology infrastructure. They were arrested at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport upon arriving in the country from Venezuela and being holders of legitimate and valid contracts with the electoral authority to undertake their assignment. It bears emphasizing that their role is both sensitive and key to the delivery of a democratic, free, and fair general election. Official pleas by IEBC to have the officials released have so far fallen on deaf ears. Among other things, their sustained incarceration is interfering with the pace of activities at IEBC with the elections. It has now come to our knowledge, however, that they have since been released, and their phones, which were confiscated, have been returned to them. However, we don't know whether those phones have been interfered with. Nonetheless, their unlawful detention raises fundamental questions about the outgoing government's commitment to midwife a free, fair, and democratic election. We dare put these questions straight to the outgoing president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. Mr. President, how loyal are you and your government to the Constitution of Kenya, and specifically to a democratic, free, and fair election? How loyal are you to protecting and defending the Constitution of Kenya, which by oath of office you are bound to protect? What comes first, your loyalty to the Constitution of Kenya or to the caprices of a political association? Moreover, this dastardly arrest of election personnel reminds us of the tragic disappearance and macabre killing of another election official, Mr. Chris Musando. 5 years ago, almost to the very day, we all recall that Mr. Musando was the head of ICT at IEBC in 2017. We recall how only a few days to the elections, he was found dead in the bush on the outskirts of Nairobi. His badly mutilated body showed that he had been tortured and subjected to untold pain before being killed. Is a similar scheme at work again ahead of this year's voting? For some time now, the people who have come together to constitute the leadership of Azimio One Kenya alliance have both directly and indirectly, through their various proxies, agencies, and assignees, in their numerous guises, made public proclamations that speak of evil intents to subvert the will of the people and their sovereignty at this year's general election. They have spoken of a smoky deep state, of an amorphous system. They have boasted in public that the two, that is the deep state and the system, will deliver electoral victory to them. They have also boasted in the open not about how the people are with them, but rather about how they will employ state office, power, and machinery to win the election. Is this intimidation of election officials part of what they have been cynically talking about? Is President Uhuru Kenyatta happy that he is managing his Azimio project democratically through arbitrary arrests, harassment, and intimidation of election officials? How much faith should Kenyans have in their departing president's commitment to a democratic poll and to a smooth transition? The question that must be answered is this: what do these people want from the election's ICT personnel? The answer is simple. They want to invade the election technology and to compromise its integrity for the benefit of the Azimio project. We all know how they have been insisting on using manual registers for these elections, having sensed imminent defeat. They now want to go the Musando way, through forcing out of ICT officials information that would enable them to beat the computer firewalls. We must call them out on this. The elections must not be tampered with. The Azimio project must be defeated as it will be defeated. And President Uhuru must prepare to go home with his wicked project. The President is of course on record as stating in public that he is, and this is in his own words, not going anywhere. When people tell him to finish and go home, he further retorts, "I am here to stay." The Constitution of Kenya is clear on this matter. However, Article 142, subsection 2 asserts, "A person shall not hold office as president for more than 2 terms." And Article 2, subsection 2 states, "No person may claim or exercise state authority except as authorized under this Constitution." And Article 3, subsection 2 states with finality, any attempt to establish a government otherwise than in compliance with the Constitution is unlawful. Whether President Uhuru Kenyatta schemes to stay on in another guise after the expiry of his term, exercising state authority, or whether he purposes to intimidate election officials to give electoral victory to his Azimio project, he is clearly in breach of the Constitution. The President is proving to be the one foremost impediment to a democratic, free, and fair election. We urge him to respect the sovereignty and supremacy of the people and the sanctity of their will as expressed through democratic elections. He should now step out of the way and allow the Constitution and the people to prevail. We also urge the President and his cabinet to distance themselves from other and publicizing of falsified opinion polls on the forthcoming elections. These cynical polls are intended to demoralize voters who are of a contrary persuasion. They are also intended as a curtain raiser to other electoral malpractices. Theft, and I want to really emphasize this, theft of an election by the government is theft that is the worst of any crimes that people can commit. It is theft of their sovereignty. And when someone has stolen the people's government and their will, he is ready to commit every other crime in the world. We urge the President to distance himself from these acts. We urge him to try to salvage his government's reputation by respecting the Constitution and the people in these last moments of his regime. To state officers who have allowed themselves to be used to breach the Constitution and election laws, we remind you that best practices from elsewhere have shown that in the end you will be held personally responsible for any breaches. Such is the fate of those who breached the American law in the January 6, 2021 incident. Today, they are facing the music without the Grand Master who encouraged or bullied to break the law. Good. Let me remind them, your own day will come when you'll be on your own. Our law is clear on that. We have previously called for protection of elections officials at all levels, including service providers, as well as their equipment and materials. We restate this call. Even without being elections officials, the state owes them duty of care as citizens or as visitors in our space. As election officials, however, they impose extra premium of duty of care on the state. There can be no compromise on this. On its part, the IEBC must reassure Kenyans on the safety of all election materials, including its handling and distribution. Finally, to the people of Kenya, please do not be cowed or feel frustrated. We are only going through the darkest hour that must come before dawn. Freedom is coming. Be patient. Avoid any provocation to violence. Avoid any other breaches of the law. Prepare to come out in large numbers to vote. Kenyans must and will defeat the sinister schemes of the Azimio project and its equally sinister leadership. It shall not be long before the will of people prevails. Tumejipanga and freedom is coming. Asanteni sana. Now my colleagues will help me after that long statement. And with us.